All right, Alders of Metal YouTube podcast, live from the crypt where riffs are heavy and souls are heavier. Tonight we summon the immortal, the eternal, the absolutely meme-worthy, the one-man doom machine who's been to hell and back and lived to rock another day, Bobby Liebling of the almighty Pentagram. He's the original Doomfather, the walking riff, and let's face it, he's probably existed before your dad picked up his first Sabbath record. And lately, he's been haunting the internet like a cursed GIF file, spreading across the web faster than you can say, be forewarned. Hello, Bobby, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, and I love that intro. Did it take you long to write that?
Yeah. Good to have you on the show, man. And I have to do the intro for Nikos as well, because joining me tonight in this delicious descent into doom is none other than my co-conspirator in Metal Madness, the master of mayhem himself, Nikolas Fragiadakis. So buckle up, grab your favorite black t-shirt, light a candle or a bong, and let's dive into the twisted, trippy, and totally iconic world of Bobby Liebling and Pentagram. This ain't your grandma's podcast, unless your grandma listens to Pentagram, in which case, respect. Let's go. Hello, Nikos. How are you?
Hello everyone. Hello Dimitris. Hello Bobby.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm alive. Good enough.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
For
good.
now it will suffice.
So, yeah. First of all, guys, this is my first ever time interviewing somebody, so please bear with me.
I think
I would like to start with asking you, Bobby. You were born in New York City, correct?
No.
No?
Wrong. No, I was born
Brooklyn,
in
no?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
Yes,
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that Wikipedia has got wrong then.
Of course. Yeah, like many things.
Of course, like many things.
But we shan't criticize right now, right?
Okay, so you've been a resident of Washington your whole life then?
Nope.
Neither.
You got everything wrong, man.
DC, and
It's a good start.
I resided there with my folks until I was probably 2 weeks old. And
Okay.
we moved to Arlington, Virginia, which is basically one of the two places I grew up. I spent, summers, every whole summer, and Easter vacation, which used to be longer, and Christmas vacation with my grandparents in Brooklyn, New York, and Rockaway Beach, New York. And I like to hail from New York because I love the apple. I love the concrete.
Arlington, Solitude Eternus are based in Arlington, aren't they?
I'm really not sure. They
think
might
so.
be. I really don't know. I do know. I live.
Or is there is there an Arlington in Texas?
Yes, there is, and that's where I think they might be
Yeah.
from.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where they're from. Okay,
No,
it
I
rang a
was in
bell.
Arlington, Virginia, and it's about. I lived about a mile from the Pentagon, where my dad worked for many, many years. So it's right
Nice.
outside Washington.
Did you grow up? Are you an only child?
Yes, I am.
Spoiled, eh?
Mhm. You might say that, but I don't. Nah, I had a pretty normal, run-of-the-mill.
Upbringing.
Yeah.
Can I, Nick,
Okay.
can I start with one of the questions that I have, which is obviously the question that, Bobby, I think everybody must have asked you this thing lately like 1,000 different times. You must be bored answering it. Dude, you just became a legend, like a meme, like internet sensation. And I've seen you in all sorts of different videos, like Muppet version or dog version or this version or that version or AI version. It's just like hilarious, man.
The Legos, yeah.
How do you cope with the whole thing? I mean, how was it like? Yeah, I've heard the story that somebody showed you the video and you saw 2.3 million views and you went like, "Fuck, what the hell is going on over here?" And then the next moment it was like 5.3 or something. But how do you feel? How has your life changed becoming an internet sensation all of a sudden?
The whole thing flipped me out at first. It was pretty weird. I mean, it was like I always had this dream of maybe someday I can have a post on Instagram or Facebook that will be viral. And it was like, Jesus, wow. Be careful what you wish for, because it kind of blew up more quickly than I expected it to, for damn sure. But it was pretty cool, And it's really fun, though, playing music for over half a century and then become famous for being a joke.
And how have you been riding that wave? I mean, for the band.
Yeah, the band's profile went through the roof immediately, which is pretty obvious that, that it would. And we got stopped in airports by TSA people, and we got stopped on planes by pilots coming out of the cockpit to say hello, and soccer moms in the airport, and groups of little kids and stuff like that. It's pretty wild, man. I really didn't know how to react, and I still kind of don't, because everywhere we go, it's someone, aren't you that guy? And
has it affected attendance, to the concerts?
Well, when it happened, we were actually on tour already, and so the sales didn't really increase or anything, because the places were sold out actually when we were doing the West Coast tour, which is when it came about, and then South American tour, which had mostly sellouts too. So I don't know how it really, bolstered the situation of the attendance, but I do know the seeming popularity, and Lord knows why, but it went through the roof, man. It was a trip. It's people are clawing at each other to try to get through crowds, and you got police escorts surrounding you to get to a van when you leave a gig, and that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild, man. It still is. I mean, I know there's still memes coming out. I saw one yesterday, a brand new one that's got the every step you say, and I'm singing it, and all this stuff. It's wild, man.
Do you enjoy it, or does it become stressful?
Both. Both. I enjoy the hell out of it, because obviously I'm an exhibitionist at heart. I think most musicians, whether it's hidden and never comes out, is another thing. But I like, so to speak, in a manner of speaking, to get up and, hi, I'm naked in front of everybody. Look at me. It's sort of, you want to be a spectacle, so in somewhere inside. Or you don't become a professional performing artist, That's
of course.
Yeah,
you bear your soul on stage, so it is.
Yeah, very much like that, And so it really, it's scary sometimes, and I'm not like right now, okay, because I'm not used to doing live on the spot broadcasts, other than standing up and shaking my ass on the stage, which is where I'm comfortable. That's my comfort zone, which has been. They once asked people. I believe it was just in the USA, I'm not sure, but, what's the thing you would be most afraid to do as a profession? And they said, anything that has public speaking involved in it. And that's where I'm in my my slippers and, my bedroom. It's comfy to me. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, well, I've actually watched quite a few of your recent interviews. And I have to say, as a public speaker, you're doing quite well.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to loosen up a little bit, because I do get the butterflies, and just like every night when you go on stage, you still get them. I don't give a damn if you've been doing it a million years. You're going to get them.
I was having that exact same discussion in another interview. That I was saying. It's fun. I know it's gonna sound funny, but even us, with our small metal shows in a country in the other side of the world, that we have a few subscribers. Whether we realize it or not, we're also public figures. We're on a tiny extent, of course, but still we get butterflies in our stomach. And I was saying at the same time, I'm sure James freaking Hetfield with Metallica, when he gets on the stage, I bet he always get that little, butterflies in his stomach before.
Yeah,
doesn't matter if he's been doing it his whole freaking life or something. But yeah,
you don't get nervous really,
yeah,
or frightened but you do get the little bit of, what are they going to think? What are they going to think? And then 30 seconds in, you're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. A few seconds before you get on stage. Then you get on stage, and all hell breaks loose. You forget everything, right?
Exactly. Yes.
No, you gotta switch like that turns.
Yeah, it is. It's an automatic switch too. I mean, you don't have to think consciously about, no, now I feel good. It just happens, after you've been doing it as long as I have. I mean,
Do you feel that you have like a persona when you're on stage?
Not really. My persona is pretty much, well, there is the shy side of me that doesn't seem to manifest on stage too often, but it does from time to time. I mean, like between songs, I usually don't know what to say, and I'll just say thank you very much, and it's kind of meander over there, take a drink of water or something like that. But it's like that.
But Pentagram and performing live and producing music and putting your soul to it is, I think. Sometimes I said a form of psychotherapy in other interviews. I would say the ultimate form of psychotherapy, isn't it?
Yes, it very much is. I mean,
you've been doing this the whole life, and obviously you love it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to do it till I drop. It's what I do. It's what I was put here for. It's my existence, and it's also bread and butter, and it's also the exploitation factor, and like that. And plus, you like to have, my friends are very few, my actual close friends.
Yeah.
And when I'm not doing the Pentagram thing, I see absolutely no one. I mean, my roommate, she might come in the door, and you might see her. But aside from her and a couple of other people, occasionally, on rare occasions, actually, I'm a loner when I'm off stage. It's just, that's my friends and my family or the band, most definitely, especially. But the fans are everything. I mean, without the fans, there is no me anyway. So what the hell, right?
And I think this counts for every human being. And talking about this form of psychotherapy, what we do now is my form of psychotherapy. This show, it's like, instead of going out and getting wasted or something, I light up a cigarette, open up a beer, and talk with, Bobby freaking Liebling or whoever, and we're having a nice chat. For me, it was nice, for example, we get to interview, our childhood heroes and have a chat with them, as I said to you before the show. So have a nice chat, discuss about it, have fun, and make the interview that
cool.
way. So everybody
I
has
can
their
see
own
where, that's how you guys get your rocks off. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. I mean, you like you said, you are public performance, and right now you're in that mode, and the switch goes on, and it's like, now I'm supposed to interact and have a good time, and it comes automatically though, after you've done it a while.
It's a form of exposure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You're exploiting something,
Nikos and Bobby, I'll be reading also some of the comments as we go. Just very quickly, my friend Vitamin Death is his nickname. He's always there every show. He says, one of the most expressive, sensitive, electric, and true pioneers of the rock metal genre. Many bands. Vitamin Death, not vitamin D as we say here, but Vitamin Death. Many bands owe a lot to Mr. Liebling. Thank you for your time, sir, and thank you from our side as well. Yeah.
You're very, very welcome, man.
Yeah.
Mr. Death.
Yorgos Theodoris. It's all Greek to you. It's a Greek name. George Theodoris. He's usually asking the same question. He says, "Can you ask Mr. Liebling if he's listening to black metal?"
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't expect you to say yes.
I do not listen to black metal, and because I can't read the names of the bands in the first place. It looks like chickens walked across the cover and just, had ink on their feet, and that's kind of the size of that to me. It's just not my cup of tea. Let's put it that way. So.
Yeah, Albert Marketing PR. He says Bobby's the man. And another user, Kustaka, says, nice to catch a live talk with Mr. Liebling himself. Cheers from Sweden. Very nice. Hello, my friend. Cool. Welcome to the show. And he says, he's also asking, will there be a live DVD coming out after this year's touring and gigs?
We really don't know yet. I mean, the band is in its infancy, the new inception of Pentagram. I mean, we've been together for 6 months. That's it, and in that little amount of time, we had to rehearse, record a whole album, get it mixed and mastered, have it released, go on we've done 3 or 4 different tour schedule things already, and, Europe, South America, States, and, on the West Coast, also up and down in the States. And we got so much stuff on the plate right now that I really can't say, I wouldn't mind that, but we're also pretty picky about what goes on stuff. It's got to be fine tuned, of course, because that thing about, well, we just want it to be really real. Yeah, but if you screw up everything, it's not like crap, then it's not going to sell as well, and people might not enjoy it. So,
well, there's always the mixing process and everything, but yeah,
exactly. Our guitar player Tony Reed, who's also a Moss Generator, he did the producing of the album, and as well he was the engineer and did the mixing and did the mastering all by himself. It's the first time on a Pentagram thing where myself and Henry Vasquez, for that matter, my drummer, we weren't even present when Tony did all that stuff. We just went home because we were so comfortable with his expertise in doing those things. I mean, he's done hundreds and hundreds of bands, mixed and mastered especially. And, we felt completely comfortable, and we just said, go ahead, run with the ball, because he does one hell of a job. He did on the new album for damn sure.
Did you get involved in the past albums, in the mixing and mastering process?
Well, I got involved in the mixing / production, which go hand in hand, of course. But this is the first one. No, nothing. We just put it all. Say, go ahead, Tony. We have faith in you. And
how was it? How was making Lightning in the Bottle different?
Well,
other album.
Let me say this: when I met Tony Reed and Scooter Haslett, which is our bass player, he's also from Moss Generator. I met Tony the night before the recording session in Seattle. That's the first time I ever met him in my life. So that makes it very different from the jump. We didn't have a lot of planning and the fine tuning and all of that. They had written, Henry and Tony had written a whole lot of songs. And I kind of just went in the day after I met Tony to the studio. They played me rough mix tracks, and I picked and chose. I like this one. I like that one, and I had a whole bunch of lyrics that were applied to nothing and had no format whatsoever. And I'd take a sheet into the booth, per se, and just wing it. And, 1 or 2 takes usually of anything was all that we had. And I fit the words of a sheet of paper into the music I was listening to. And they were really happy with it. And we just ran with the ball like that. So that's very, very different than we're used to doing, because it's usually like you have 6 months of planning and that kind of thing, pre-production, things like that. We had virtually none. The album was recorded. I recorded all the vocals and double tracked them and did the backup vocals all in 3.5 days of 4 or 5 hours a day. And
if I'm right, unfortunately, I only got the record last week, so I haven't really listened to the album too many times. Right. But if I'm correct, Henry has also composed a couple of songs and written lyrics to them, correct?
Yeah. He wrote lyrics to the songs that people think are positively lyrics that I wrote for the most part, and Live Again, Lady Heroin.
Which are awesome songs.
Thank you. He wrote all the lyrics to Lady Heroin, for instance. I didn't write any of them. And people are sure that, of course, Bobby with all the drug past, he had to have written those because they have so much feeling, blah, 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 blah. Henry tried to put himself in my shoes and see those things from my perspective. And Henry's never been into drugs, and he did one great job as far as I'm concerned. And Live Again was like a rebirth.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, he did a great job. I just would change a couple words maybe, and he'd say, "Go on and sing your interpretation of what." I would maybe hum something. A couple of the songs he had a rough vocal track that he had done, to kind of guide, and I'd take off on those and just put my own flavors into them and do them. Those two he wrote, and he wrote two other ones too. So,
another one that I loved was "Walk the Sociopath."
Walk the Sociopath, yeah. I wrote the lyrics to that.
That was an awesome song, man. Awesome.
They're pretty unusual, because a lot of times people don't even get to play on words, and a lot of people don't know what a sociopath is, because they, like a sociopath, seem to have no feelings or thoughts.
So when
speaking of lyrics,
go ahead, Nikos. Go ahead.
Actually, the LP that I got doesn't have a lyric sheet in it.
Yes, I know, and we were pretty pissed off about that. We were told by the record company, most definitely, yes, we'll be there, so forth and so on. And then the album just made its debut, and we opened up one of the album covers and no sheet inside, and we blew a gasket. And we had to speak to the people at the company and say, hey, this won't fly. We need to have the lyrics inside this, because I think the lyrics are very good on most all the songs. And I'm really proud of them, the ones Henry wrote and the ones I wrote. As well as there was one song that we took, a Moss Generator song from the 90s, and redid it, I Spoke to Death. And Tony wrote that all alone. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them sound like my kind of flavor, I know. Yeah, that's why we meshed so well, I think.
Well, I have to say that the album does differ from it. It definitely sounds like Pentagram, but it does differ from the older albums, from the previous albums. It does have its own flavor.
Thank you. That's what we were hoping to get out of it. And when people say what you just said, I think immediately, well, all the Pentagram albums were a different flavor from each other, actually. We never had a formatted, like a coined sound. I think Pentagram evolved through the years, and each album has kind of its own identity to it. Maybe the maybe the first couple have more similarity, but after that, I think that they had a lot of variance within them. So this one's another one like that to me. Yeah.
Well, I think that personally, I think that the albums where Victor Griffin was involved, because of his tuning and the way he plays, the dissonance of his riffs and everything, they were very, very characteristic, I would say.
You do, huh? Okay. I'll go with that. I know what you mean. Victor's got an incredible rhythm guitar tone that's very unique to him. It's on the order of a Tony Iommi type of muffled sound, and it's very bottom heavy and so forth. And Victor's got it's like a signature Victor Griffin sound to the guitar. But the songs themselves, I think, have an awful lot of variety within the albums themselves as you play through.
Absolutely. And
we try to have dynamics and a lot of continuity. It's always been that kind of thing. We don't want to get stuck in the little mold, of any kind.
Indeed. Plus, as I also heard you say in another interview, that you don't like the term that you're a doom metal band. You're a heavy rock band. Plus,
not at all. Yes,
I had the same question.
Pentagram has never really been about doom and gloom all the time. There's also many uplifting songs in many of your albums. Actually, in all of your albums, there's been a few. So yeah,
Yeah, they have a lot of them have a spookiness to the songs, and that's because of the structure of the music actually that gives a creepy air to them, and then the words that accompany that. I mean, we do down rock, I mean, it's most of the
Exactly.
stuff.
For example,
It's a bummer.
Vampire Love comes into mind.
Okay, Victor wrote that. Okay, and
Yeah,
that to me is the closest song we've ever done. It sounds like a Kiss song to me. It's very just basically rock and rolling.
it is. It is. That's a great
And
song.
thank you. We enjoyed doing it, and I remember when Victor brought it back from the West Coast. He had recorded it out there by himself with a drum machine on a 4-track recorder, and he played me that and Wolf's Blood and another one I can't think offhand, but I wanted to do those. We're like, let me sing those. Let's put those on the record and so forth. And we gave it a shot, and the rest is history. But I think we do have a desperate type of undertone to our music all the time, and
Absolutely.
a lot of warning also.
Yeah.
The song lyrics are very much warning. They're not, people think, oh, Pentagram, Satan. Hell no. It's telling you. And I like the name Pentagram because it's a very bold, simple name, and it kind of takes something heavy in quotes. Maybe the subject, maybe just playing hard rock. But I think, we're not into the Satanism thing like people used to think very heavily. We're just we play bummed out music.
I'll be back on camera in a minute because I gotta bring something for my next question, and I want to ask you, talking about not being associated with Satanism, and I also read it actually heard it in one of your interviews that back then when you formed Pentagram, how the idea came up. What's a pentagram? Well, it's a star and this and that, and I think it was your mother who said it, or I don't remember, and that's how you got the name. But talking about the symbolism and everything, Nick, go ahead, and I'll be back in a second to ask the question, and I'll show you something, and I'll be right back.
So,
Now we get nervous, right?
come again?
Now we get nervous. Our host is gone.
I'm actually, well,
You're our co-host.
I showed you previously that I've got my cheat sheet, and I've got a few questions in a row. Now it's all mixed up, so I don't really know how to pick it up.
That happens a lot with questions that I'm getting.
Yeah, we don't have to go from question 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but I just noticed.
We are not.
Yeah,
I
just noticed everything you're wearing here, like the pentagram, and I also noticed. Well, one of our friends asked me.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I know.
One of our friends before asked if you're listening to black metal. You said no. What about death metal?
Nope. I don't listen to any death metal either.
But you know the band D-Side. Have you ever heard of them?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
They had a song in the first album called Trifiction. This is their first album. This is a T-shirt called D-Side, and on the back you can see Trifiction.
The upside down cross.
Yeah.
Stuff, right?
Which is 3 times with 2 pentagrams, and it's exactly the pendant you're wearing. So I was wondering.
Okay, let's be real now. I'll tell you the straight dope on that. When I started Pentagram, I was into black arts, shall we call them, witchcraft, incantations, and spells predominantly, and Satanism as a religion. I thought that I was taking up on that. I had a satanic Bible and a magic stone and all these things. And I was, when I was 16, I was a member of the Satanic Church. And it was really just an exploratory kid thing, though. When you're growing and you're trying to explore different avenues of life. And I came to find out very quickly that Satanism, as a religion, preaches quite a few things that I am totally in the opposite stance about, and it scared the hell out of me. I was in a coven and all these kind of things back then, and going out in the woods and doing all the chanting and stuff like that. And we kind of thought, wow, this is cool. That's sort of the extent of it, though, because I fast and quickly, veered off of that and realized this stinks, man. I'm going to get myself in some kind of hairy-carry trouble, whatever.
So did you get to meet Anton LaVey?
What's that?
Did you get to meet Anton LaVey?
No, I didn't meet LaVey. But,
okay.
But I know very well of him, of course, and so forth. I mean, look, LaVey was just a gangster from the 30s. So look at his old pictures. He's holding a submachine gun. He got a zoot suit on with a fedora. I mean, and then he decided also, I think I'll take up on this. And that's the way I kind of look at that as a subject, overall. A lot of bands now, in the last 25 years especially, cashed in on the let's hail Satan, because it's the opposite. It's against the grain. Come on. And rock and roll, let's face it, when they call it the devil's music, there's a reason.
Yeah. Because
it does have a lot of rough and tumble, non-conducive to society's standards elements about it, to say the least, But when I wear these things, they're just jewelry to me.
Exactly.
That's it. Period. I don't, I think they're cool looking, and that's all. It's not a matter of I'm wearing these because I'm representing something evil, and I don't want to tell you about it because it's too spooky. Woo! And and I might cast spells on you, and I might pray to Satan. None of that. I like the way the damn things look. That's about it.
Did you grow up religious?
What that? No, not at all whatsoever. No. I was Jewish. I now, if you want to loosely say, subscribe to Christianity as such. My wife is brought up Catholic, and there's a lot of stigmas attached to that religion also, where within the religion they're told you don't do this, you don't do that, and these are the rules, and they're pretty staunch.
We're Greek Orthodox, or at least, yeah. That's what it says on our papers.
Yeah. I mean, because I have, an overwhelming amount of Catholic friends, and they've told me about these things throughout their life. I had to go to Catholic school. I had to do this. I had to do that. You got to do a lot of things because your folks will kick your ass if you don't.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to kick the kid's ass. Now, if you touch the kid, you go to jail.
Yep.
Different world, man. Different world.
You've got a kid now.
What's that?
You've got a kid now.
Yes, I have a boy, 14 and a half.
How did that change your life?
That's the reason I'm on the earth and strive to keep on going, really. That's the number one reason, because I love my boy dearly. And I cherish every moment I get to spend with him. He doesn't live with me, and neither does my wife. And we haven't for many years. But we have remained married on paper. We were separated for over 11 years and then reunited, which is unusual as hell. And,
happens.
We still love each other dearly. She's my soulmate, man. She's my best friend I've ever had. She's also 33 years younger than I am.
You reminded me of there was an interview with Lemmy from Motorhead, and the interviewer, he said, you've done everything. You've been all over the world. You've got the whole world in front of your feet and everything. You've achieved so many things. What is the greatest achievement you ever had? And his son was sitting next to him, and he said, this guy.
There you go.
So you said exactly the same thing as Lemmy. Yeah.
In a nutshell.
And I think if you ask any parent, usually any parents, they will give you the same answer.
Yeah, and that's the answer that naturally comes out of a parent. I mean, you've created a human being.
Yeah.
And there's a strong bond in that sense. No matter what, even if you don't like them, you love them dearly
Yeah, man.
because you made them and put them on earth. So it's a dearness that you can't beat. I love my boy. He's
Cool.
great.
All the best. I
Yeah.
wish you all the best for your boy, man.
Yeah.
Right. I will be asking again some. I will be reading some comments from our viewers. Right. Okay.
Good.
All right. So there's a guy from. First of all, just to let you know where we are geographically. You know, we're in Greece. And Nikos and I, we live in Heraklion. It's a city of the biggest island of Greece called Crete. It's in the south. And there's a guy from our town here. His nickname is Kiristasis. And he says, "Unlimited love from Heraklion. Love you, Dimitris and Bobby. Can't wait for you to come to our beloved island of Crete." Well, hope you manage one day. You will go through the... if you do, you will go through the usual rites, as we say here. The whole process of drinking raki, which is our local drink over here. So if you do, that would be amazing.
I have.
You have?
You have?
Sampled that, yes. I don't drink. And,
All right,
Yeah.
Cool. You will have
But,
to go through it
yeah.
again. That's a
I did
tradition.
that, yeah. And, we played in Greece quite a few times around Greece and so forth. And we went this year for the first time to Cyprus, which is a very close attachment to Greece.
True.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so,
And-
but I love the people there, man. They're cool.
Cool,
Yeah.
man. And George Theodoris is asking another question. What is your favorite album of Pentagram ever that you're never bored listening to even today?
Lightning in a Bottle. What a surprise. Yeah, it is. That, and it was Sub-Basement for all the years. Sub-Basement is a gem to me. It's a fluke. It just happened to come out like it did. Not really planned to have all the sounds and the deep overdubs and all that kind of stuff. But I think Sub-Basement was a masterpiece. And that's not to toot my horn, but I love the album to death. And until the new one, I know that they tell you, every time a new one comes out, you say that one's your favorite, which is standard policy, kind of. But, excuse me. But Lightning in a Bottle is really special to me because I don't think it has any half-ass or clunkers on it. For one, I don't think it has a halfway weak song whatsoever. I think they're all rocket ship strong. They've got hooks. They've got great lead breaks from Tony. The songs aren't too long, but they're not too short. There's a few shorter ones, but Pentagram's always had pretty short songs. And I just like the whole sound of the way it's put together. It's very simple, actually, and very straightforward. There's no gimmicks on Lightning in a Bottle at all. It's just straight heavy rock. And I'm proud of that one, man. That's the MF of all of them. And I hope we can, do something to equal it next go around because we're planning to try to record another album in September, October already.
Oh, we're looking forward to it.
Now here is something that's something. So you could perhaps give us some insights, perhaps maybe a title. I don't know, or
There's no title and not even a tentative one, but we do have. When we recorded Lightning, we had 8 or 9 songs that we didn't use. Okay, so we already have in the can the rough tracks for another album virtually.
cool.
And we want to spiff the next one up a little bit. It'll take a little more time in the honing of the songs. Like I say, Lightning in a Bottle is just very straightforward. Blah, there you go, a slap in the face. Although I love it, but Tony very much wants to do that, and the other guys too, to take our time a little bit. This was a rush job. My God, I mean, you meet the guy and you're in the studio the next day. You're my guitar player. Hi, it's nice to know you.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked. It was a miracle. It really was a miracle, man. I mean, we have a camaraderie between all 4 of us that I don't think I have yet experienced in another inception of Pentagram. We're real close buddies. We have a blast on the road. We laugh it up and live it up, and it's kind of no holds barred. I don't think that that we're totally knowledgeable about each other, but what we know of each other, we're a real unit, tight-knit unit, and we love playing together. We just really dig it. It comes easy to us. It's a natural thing.
It's
These
also
guys
the
have
number one important thing, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, because they've got so much experience,
Hmm.
and it was a cinch to just lay all the stuff down. I hope it will be again. And we'll use some of the songs from those other 8 or 9.
So,
I'm sure.
Before you said that each Pentagram album is usually different, it's got its own touch. So the upcoming one, how would you say if you can find the words, how would you characterize it as different? What would the different thing be?
More honing and a little more of a progressive nature in the parts, like the song "In the Panic Room" on "Lightning in a Bottle." It has a very huge change in the middle of the song that kind of goes into a Captain Beyond kind of thing, and we all love Captain Beyond, all 4 of us, and we were really happy about the way that came out. Maybe a little more tilt to that nature,
Mm-hmm.
and we like the dynamics of it. It's got the up and down. It's got a lot of continuity.
So,
not just slamming bass.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nikos?
Dimitris, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So when you write your lyrics and everything, where you draw inspiration from?
No place.
No place. It's the best place, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what?
The absolute void.
It's the best place, really. When you start to conjure and try to formulate and all that, I get the total writer's block immediately. It's got to flow, man. It's got to just come to your head. Oh, I know a sentence. I'll write that one down. And then no one comes behind it, and bum, 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 and before you know it, you got 3 or 4 verses and a chorus or whatever, refrain. But I that's how I write, at least when I write lyrics. And all the old songs, I wrote the music and the lyrics, almost every one of them. And now it's very much a group effort. Like if you notice on there, it says all songs by Liebling, Reed, Vasquez. Because we were very tight-knit, the same flow, the same intention when we did it, and it came out a miracle. And it was easy as hell to do that album. My God. It's just,
What instruments do you play?
What do I play? I play guitar and bass. And I played for 63 years or so. But I
never played on an album.
No, I played a few little passages here or there on certain things, like when it's the mix that wrote it, when I re-recorded the lead breaks for Lazy Lady and Be Forewarned on the single for one of the years of that, and it's already way too loud, the lead guitar, which is, I got by, and then I played all the guitars on the tribute to Sid Barrett Pink Floyd song Flaming that we did. And,
okay.
Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. On the thing called Change of Heart, which was an EP many years back. I played the bass on Review Your Choices on that one. And
okay.
A lot of people don't know that. I think that I don't play in it. I mean, how would I do all the original songs that we did in the old days if I didn't? I couldn't just hum them all. Nobody else could transpose that, so I had to work them out on the guitar, and I take them to the band and say, here's how the guitar goes, so.
All right.
Awesome.
In the comments, there's another guy around your neighborhood. His nickname is Just Here Browsing, and he says, hello and hails Bobby from not too far from Philly. Also, Henry, beast of drummer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it very much. Henry is a beast of a drummer. God, he beats the hell out of it. I mean, he's an animal, and not the one from the Muppets, on drums.
And 6 feet under 420, he says, what's your advice for living a long life?
I don't want to tell you, okay?
It's your
Let's
secret.
say I things. And I guess they've contributed that and a good pair of jeans like Levi's. And,
All right. Okay. And Kustaka is asking a question. He says, how was the process for making the Sub Basement album? Have any favorite track over there? I love Buzzsaw.
Okay. Yeah, my favorite track on it and my favorite song that I've ever written, the music and the lyrics all the way through, is Out of Luck. I love that song. I'm proud of that. It's got so many changes in it. Every part is two lines. There's 29 changes in the one song. It's a 4-minute song. That, and I love After the Last, I was in jail then too when I wrote the lyrics to that. It was like a partial suicide note, but I wasn't serious because I've never been suicidal. I want to live, man. I want to keep going really more years. Me and Keith Richards, I guess, will keep on. But,
All right.
so those two very much.
Cool. And Vitamin Death is asking, do you like Hawkwind?
Yes, I like Hawkwind. I used to like Hawkwind a whole lot. I used to have the first 4 albums, the original issues, in plastic bags and all with the elaborate covers and everything like that. Everything by Hawkwind is like a progression that sounds like the same song continuing through all the albums, basically, to me. That's just my opinion. Please don't scrutinize or chastise me, folks. But I like the sound of their stuff. It was spacey, but it was still really heavy. It was psychedelic as hell.
Well, yeah, they were sort of jamming on the same riff, and
yeah, on and on. Right.
Yeah. But the result was pretty good, especially when you're on drugs.
Yeah, that's correct. Absolutely. And I was on a few of them.
Very quick. Bobby, have you listened to any Greek bands?
No, I can't say that I have. Not that I know are Greek.
Nick, should we suggest one for Mr. Liebling over here? Which one?
If you got one, go ahead.
I was thinking
one that I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. Hail Spirit Noir. They're pretty awesome. Pretty different. Hail Spirit Noir, like French for black. Noir.
Noir. Yeah, noir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would suggest Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. I might have heard something by Night Stalker. Is that kind of thrash?
No, it's like
stoner kind of
rock. Like Caius, stuff like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, check it out. Why not? I mean, I check out stuff. I don't listen. The weird thing about me, I guess, is being so devoted to Pentagram. I don't listen to much music whatsoever anymore. I don't listen to music. I know that sounds real nuts, but I don't listen to music.
It doesn't because I was also away from the scene for like 20 years before I restarted this, because Elders of Metal used to be a fanzine back like 20 years ago, and I restarted it now as a YouTube podcast show, and now I'm getting back into listening again and trying to follow the scene and everything, but
right.
Yeah, so I feel Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do that anymore, and I have very little interest in the overwhelming majority of the bands now because it's rehash.
Yeah.
It's just in the same thing a little bit and then spitting it out again. I'm stuck in 67 through 73 hard. And, it's like my album with Sonny Vincent by The Limit, called Caveman Logic. That's where I'm at. Yeah.
What were your favorite bands growing up?
What's that?
What were your favorite bands
back then?
Growing up?
The same ones as now, which is Sir Lord Baltimore, Dust, Stray, Frost, just to name a few. Captain Beyond. I like kick-ass stuff, man. Hard rock, loud.
Anything like Trouble?
I was never really into Trouble, although I respect what they do greatly. I know the guys very, very well. They're dear buddies. And I don't think I've ever listened to an entire Trouble album all the way through, though. It's like I became too. You can think of me as narcissistic, but I became too self-involved in my own thing, and I didn't want to take a lot of influential from the outside things, and kind of. I didn't listen to them a lot because I didn't want to start incorporating their stuff into mine. I like to try to keep a modicum of originality to the songs, even though you've heard the type of song before, and there are several songs on Lightning in a Bottle like that where you say, I've heard that somewhere else, but they're variations, and I don't like to cop licks or anything like that. I'm against that. I want to give something fresh and something new each time. That's why on stage right now, we do 6 songs off Lightning in a Bottle already, and we came out the first time and started doing it just like that, and 6 or 7 old ones, and that's our stage set. I mean, there are certain Pentagram mainstays that we have to play every night, of course. You know, the crowd expects that, and so we...
like the Ghoul.
We played the Ghoul forever and ever and ever live, but I have no freaking way to understand how that became the eyes. I don't know. The song is a sludgy song. It's ugly as hell. I love it. It's easy.
It's awesome.
It's a cool song, man. It's a sludge song, you know. And it's heavy as hell and got that thickness, you know. It's intense. It's got good, you know.
It's very atmospheric.
Yes, thank
you. It is.
And Metalhead 1975 is asking, he says, Bobby, are you still in touch with Iggy Pop? In a previous interview, you said that you're friends. Any stories about it?
No, I am not in touch with Jim, and I haven't been for 40 more years now. A long time. I was back in touch when the Stooges were doing the Stooges. And yeah, he's a good dude. He's a wildcat. And I got a lot of my shtick as such from the antics that he did on stage. It used to blow my mind. It's like, God, this guy's got balls like an elephant. You know, because of what he gets out there and lets himself just become, which is maniacal, you know, raw power. That's what he becomes. All goes, no holds barred. And that's what I used to do a lot. And then I noticed on YouTube that I stink on vocals in half or more of the performances that I watch. I'm flat, and I'm worried about jumping around more than I'm worried about being a lead singer. So that's why in the last several years, like probably since about 2019, I've concentrated on, Bob, no matter what you do or how much you throw your hands around or look at people, right, stay on key. It kind of helps because we do melodic music and it's, you know, advantageous to the performance. So we don't growl. We don't Cookie Monster. We don't, you know, I sing notation, and I like to sing it in the key that the song is written. It is a good idea, I've come to find. So
one thing I find quite unusual about your voice is that your singing voice and your speaking voice no, actually not.
No,
they're
good.
not.
Good.
They're not.
You're the first who's ever said that, because I got that little voice, and then I kept on saying, "Whoa."
No. I really think that, you know, your voice has a very specific sound to it.
And see,
I don't know how to put it.
I've never known that. It's even to this day. It's like only on Lightning in a Bottle do I hear a certain me voice that I really, really like. I was real happy with the vocals on the new album. Real, overwhelmingly happy, more than I've ever been before. But
they're great, and the production is really good, as you said. I mean, yeah, great job.
And, yeah, before that, I never I could never identify my voice. It was like people would say, "You got this distinct sound." What is it? Because I don't hear it.
What I find is different in your approach towards singing is that you hear many singers. I'm not talking about the growling type. I'm talking about clean singing. Yes, many, especially rockers and metal singers, they use larynxisms and falsettos and all that.
Right.
You are more like, I would say, an R&B singer, like a blues singer.
Yeah, I have a lot of blues in myself. A lot of soul, a lot of pain, a lot of this and that comes out, and I love the blues. I've always listened to a lot of blues. I love loud electric British blues. My favorite band of all time is Wishbone Ash, okay? And they've done a lot of stuff that's on that order, you know, although they have a lot of more melodic and pretty stuff. But I think that the blues is the basis, you know, for rock music, of course, and that's where it stems from and came
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
You know, you got Little Richard, Jerry Lee, Fats Domino, people like that. You know, I'm just singing the blues, basically. You know. So I try to take after that somewhat. You know, Phil Mogg is one of my favorite singers of UFO. They're another band that I love and adore through the whole entire history. I don't think they've ever done a bad album. I adore UFO. They're rough and tough, but they have this.
Which period?
All of them. All of them. I used to think No Heavy Petting was my favorite album, and now I equally love
What an album.
Stars, which is the end. Right? I love Michael Schenker. I worship Michael Schenker. We are not worthy, kind of thing. Yeah, he's great, man. He's fantastic.
Speaking of heroes per se, did you ever meet one, let's say, of your musical heroes and have a nice story to tell, or a not so nice story to tell about it?
Let's see. I used to be very, very dear friends in the very early 70s with Ted Nugent. Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know, but let's leave the politics out.
That's a really odd combo. I mean,
Hey, Ted was a great
sort of
dude.
knowing where Ted is coming from in his, yeah.
I know, but that's politics. That's a different thing. That's his viewpoints on things. But just as a person, he was easy to talk to, always straightforward, honest. And that's one thing I am, is painfully honest. I always have been. I insist on being that way. I don't give a damn who likes it or doesn't, you know. Like the Alice Cooper thing, you know, if you don't like what I say, you can always turn me off. So,
Yeah.
I like honesty in people. Ted was straightforward, honest, man. He didn't mince words. And we got along fantastically. I remember sitting in the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C., and the Amboy Dukes were opening for ZZ Top. The place only holds 800. Back then, ZZ were just coming up. It was 73, and Trace Hombres had just come out. I
love ZZ Top.
Yeah,
I just love ZZ Top.
I love Top too. Everything they do. That's the blues, you know, electrified to the max, right?
Yeah.
And, I love Billy Gibbons, but I remember being able to. Ted and I had gotten pretty close. I mean, I took one of his Birdlands out of his guitar case and got up on the stage, and they were doing sound check. And in between the songs and stuff like that, ZZ had the Texas Longhorns at that time coming out of the amp, way back when they had the blonde colored Marshalls and stuff. I got up on one of the Longhorns, and Billy Gibbons is on the other Longhorn, and we jammed for about a half an hour. And I played Ted's Birdland, and Billy played a Les Paul. You know,
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That I'm like, yeah, boy, I got to do that. Really neat, man. And then I also remember making fun of Richie Wise's writing in Dust of the ballads that Dust did, and standing and laughing my ass off while him and me and Mark Bell cut down Richie. Just, you know, because they were doing like, how many horses? And Mark said, I don't like that crap. I don't want to play that kind of stuff at all. He was laughing, making fun of Richie. Yeah, little things like that. So there's a lot of stories.
Did you keep in touch with Mark later on when he was in the Ramones?
Nope. Nope, not at all. Just way early. I saw Dust 6 times. That was the very early time. Yeah. I saw him in the first place I saw him was in a church that held 100 people.
Was there ever a band that you religiously followed?
Oh yeah. I followed all those bands I named, all of them, and many more. I religiously followed those bands. I was really so deeply into underground, in quote, bands that were flops at the time, didn't make it and didn't get their day in the sun. And most of the damn good bands were that. There were some others like your Deep Purples, your Eye Heaps, and stuff like that did come above board. But the Baltimores, the Dusts, Stray, bands like that, those bands I followed religiously. I have all the Stray albums, every single one of them. They're still together and still play now.
What about a band that I always found incredibly heavy for their time? Was Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh yes, boy, I followed
a wall of sound.
Yeah, I really followed Grand Funk. I got Mark Farner's harmonica still that he did Inside Looking Out, and I jumped up on stage and grabbed it off the floor when they played at Lisner Auditorium in Washington, which also holds 600 or 700 people. They're loud as hell and forceful. Oh my God, Grand Funk are probably the loudest band I ever seen. They were killers, as always. Mark Farner's an incredible performer, man. And I thought it was sad when they had that big argumentative split up nowadays and all the stuff that went on. Yeah. But I love Grand Funk Railroad. Yeah,
albums from that era and bands actually from that era. Listening to their recorded albums, studio albums, and then listening to them live, it's a whole nother world. I mean, it's like they were sort of repressed in the studio.
On the studio albums, yes, they were contained.
Very, very different. So I always, when I've got bands like that, I always prefer, live performances. It's 10 times better.
Well, the excitement, the spark is really electric when they're playing live of those kind of bands. I mean, they used to play bombastic volume too, and I'm a volume freak all the way. We play pretty damn loud, even now. I wish we played with a lot more stacks and stuff like that. I don't give a damn about the noise ordinance and all that garbage. Put your friggin' earplugs in if you don't like it, but let the enjoy getting pummeled if they want to.
How do you manage with the high volumes on stage?
What's that?
How do you cope with the high volumes on stage?
I'm just kidding. I had never worn earplugs in my whole life, and will not. They mess me up. I can't get off on the music. That's why, like you're saying, the live performance, it's attacking, and I can't wear earplugs and stuff like that at all. I just like it belting me, and helping me, and I like the bass to make you almost throw up if you can get it like that.
Push some air, right?
Yeah, for damn sure. Yeah. Up when the bass drum makes your hair fly up when he kicks it, So it was kind of like the Groundhogs are another band I adore. Always loved the Groundhogs. What an unusual thing they had. It was like blues, but then it all of a sudden got a wayward turn and wigged out. And it still had a bluesy undertone, but T.S. McPhee is what I always considered to be the only totally original writer I had ever heard. Some of their songs are so whacked out. The progressions are like every ugly wrong chord that you can put them all together, and somehow they make it all work, and it sounds great. I adore the Groundhogs. McPhee is a genius. God, he was.
I only know him. I only know the band's name. I've never heard them, but I definitely will.
they're remarkable. Check out the album Solid, the album Hogwash, and Thank Christ for the Bomb.
Good. Got some homework to do.
Definitely. It was well worth it.
By
Groundhogs were almost as loud as Grand Funk Live, and I saw them in a place that only held 400 people, so they were blowing you away. That was the only time in my life that I can remember holding my ears for a few seconds, because I was sitting on the floor like 2 feet in front of the stage, which is only about 3 feet elevated. So the amps were coming at my face, and they just became so loud. I was like, oh my God. And I loved it. It was great.
Did you ever like the Grateful Dead?
Hell no. Well, Sue, that's what I call granola music, and that's so laid back. I just can't get into laid back, babe. Just take it broken like you do that, man. And not my cup of tea. I'll be very diplomatic, like I'm supposed to be nowadays, because it's social media.
By the way, there are a couple of comments I still have to read, but we are reaching now 1 hour of the interview, and it is a custom that we usually have a small break, like 3-4 minutes maximum. So we take our break for everybody and play the video of the break, and we will be back in 3-4 minutes. Yes, we all agree?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'll go charge my batteries.
Something to drink. I will go get some iced tea.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody, don't leave. I'm watching you guys. We'll be here in 3 to maximum 4 minutes. Stay tuned. Put some beer on, and see you all in 3-4 minutes. Okay. Bobby Liebling and with Pentagram. See you all. Okay, everybody, and we are back with Bobby Liebling from Pentagram and and Nikolas Fragiadakis. So we were at the part. We had a small break here, and I was gonna read a couple of comments over here. Just very quickly, there's also a few hellos, Bobby. So I'm just gonna read them, for the sake of it.
Thank you. I'm flattered that there's that many comments are coming.
Yeah,
That
man.
makes me
First of all, I forgot to read at the beginning. Hello from my friend, who Nikos also knows him, Dimitris Haniotakis. And he says, best regards from Hania. Yasu Dimitri. Yeah, he's in West Crete at the moment. He says, $12 spin. All right. Okay.
$20. $20.
Yeah.
$20.
And also my friend, sorry, I forgot another Dimitris, just like me. Dimitris Petru is a guy that we reconnected after 30 years, thanks to the social media. And he says, he says, good evening, Bobby Power, true legend. He goes like this. And we were here.
My mind.
Yeah, so the Danish record hunter says, hi Bobby, you have mentioned previously that you have composed a whole new Pentagram song. Are we gonna hear that on the upcoming album? I would suppose that the answer is hell yeah.
I've composed a few new songs. I don't know. Actually, it'll be more on the order of what is good for the entire sound of each song to fit in the format. I'm not like, I used to be a dictator. It was terrible. I was like, we're doing these songs. I wrote them all and that's that. But, I'm not into that anymore, man. I like collaborating. So we'll see what happens, Maybe not. Don't know yet. Have to see when the time comes around in the fall.
All right. Okay. And
Plenty of.
Kustaka says, we're glued. When I said before, stay here. So, yeah. And my friend Effie from Rhodos Island of Greece, she says, man, the guy's an idol. There you go.
Of who?
You know which Effie, Nikos?
Oh, yeah?
Yes, Effie. Yeah.
Afara.
Efara. Yeah. And the Danish record hunter, he says, Bobby must have listened to Socrates Drunk the Conium.
What?
Socrates?
It's a Greek band, a 70s band, prog rock. They were pretty good.
The name, what you just pronounced, sounds familiar.
Socrates Drank the Conium.
I might have heard that. I can't recall. No,
Mm-hmm.
A few prog bands in the 70s that I did listen to. Not very many of them. I wasn't into progressive rock either. I'm just a hard rocker all the way down the freaking line, man. I don't bend. I don't change. I'm stuck. And that's just what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out there.
You are stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck.
Why?
Why? Because it's fun.
Uh-huh.
I like staying stuck in the sub-basement. It keeps me lit to the bone.
All right. And, Kustaka says, I saw Pentagram in Stockholm 2012 before the gig. During the day, their equipment got stolen out the bus or something like that. But the venue found replacement gear in the last minute. Anyway, that was an awesome show. A amp on Victor's side was about to tip out into the crowd, but me and my friend pushed it back. Haha, good times. So, do you recall that?
No, I don't remember any equipment being stolen from us ever. I know that Victor once got a guitar stolen when he was doing a Place Gold's gig. He had one of his Les Pauls lifted off the stage, and it never was returned. But I don't recall Pentagram ever getting our equipment.
Okay, all right.
Bobby's picture is frozen on my screen.
I'm frozen.
You're not frozen in the show for sure, and neither are you, Nikos.
I'm not.
Okay, I'm exiting the chat and re-entering.
Yep. Okay. Sure. Okay, and we have the user with the nickname "Let Me Kill Mister." Sounds like somebody who's come back from the dead.
Back.
He's doing a hologram show this week, I heard.
You can see us all well now, Nick?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
All good.
So I was just saying that the user "Let Me Kill Mister" said sounds like somebody was brought back from the dead. He says, "Hello, Bobby. Do you recall any stories from the time when Kiss came to see you back in the 70s?"
Yeah, I remember Kiss going to our rehearsal, like it is in the movie Last Days Here. That's a portrayal. That's not really Gene and Paul in the movie, but they did come to see us in the basement in Annandale, Virginia, where we rehearsed. And the night before, we went to their hotel room, which was great. There was hot ladies all over the hotel room, and Gene and Paul were in the room, and so forth. I've met Kiss several times, yeah, and
They always buy some songs of you, didn't they?
They what?
They wanted to buy some songs of you.
They were interested in a couple of songs. The thing about that was the songs would have had to been relinquished under the pretense that it says written by Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Nope, those are my kids. My kids are keeping my last name. My kids are Liebling kids.
Yeah.
Can't do that. So, but they were interested. I'll put it that way. And the rest is, is non-history.
Okay, there you go.
So, talking again about the old times, I have a question concerning the first two albums when they got re-released by Peaceville.
Mm-hmm.
There was, for one, the production was different. It sounds more compressed, definitely heavier.
Have the same damn cover, right? That's the next point.
No, I don't mind the cover. My question is, for one, the song order is completely different.
Uh-huh. That was it.
And the drums were re-recorded.
On Day of Reckoning, yes.
Exactly, by Joe.
And,
Which, okay, he did stick to some gimmicks. I mean, to some drum fills and everything. He got it still has the same feel. It's definitely heavier. I mean, great drummer. Was it
much better?
Sorry?
I think the original one was much, much better. The sound of the drums themselves is cheesy on the re-recording.
The whole album sounds different. The original is so much warmer. You hear, you hear, you hear an analog sound.
Yes, exactly. It is much warmer. You can hear the highs and lows, and it's all separated much, much better. And
the vocals are slightly back in the mix, though. Which, I mean, I prefer the mix. I prefer the vocals being further up front in the re-releases. But all in all, the two first ones, I mean, they're my pride and joy. I mean, I'm really happy to own them.
They're much, much better, in my opinion, too. Much better. They have that warm sound, that analog sound.
How come? Who decided to remix them?
When we remixed, and it really wasn't virtually any remix between the original one and the Peaceville re-release. It's the master.
Okay.
They remastered it and compressed it a whole lot more on the re-release. There's a much bigger sound variance on the original one. I think it has more brilliance to the sound, and it's not as muffled over and contained, not as gated sounding, to use the technical term. But the the Day of Reckoning album was remixed because we redid the drums, and we had just signed with Peaceville for 3 albums, and Joe had just come back to the band.
Yeah.
Stuart was gone, and Joe came back, so it was like, well, we should put Joe on the album. So we re-recorded the drums underneath the music. We screwed it all up. They're all out of sync. If you use a click track, you'll hear it real blatantly. There's drum parts that are missing a half a beat. You go line to line, and you will see screams come. They're just not, we messed it up, and it's because we weren't experienced at that time as much. It was like 93 we redid that. And we wanted to have Joe on the whole album. We messed that album all up. I don't like the release on Peaceful.
Do you still have contact, Joe?
Do I still have what?
Are you still in contact with Joe?
Not really. Once in a blue moon, I talk to Joe. I love Joe to death. Joe's got some, I don't know. Joe,
he played a significant role, in keeping Pentagram alive.
Oh yeah,
definitely. And yeah. I also noticed in his solo work, he
kept sub-basing his own little thing.
Well, for one, his surname Hasselbander is written in pentagram font.
Yes.
So, yeah, he still. My take is that he's still feeling really close to the band.
He was for years and years, and all of a sudden, he seemed to have some displeasure, disgruntled feeling about some of the things that were said to be facts, like the mixing of sub-bass. He said, well, I mixed the whole thing. Bobby just smoked crack and passed out on the couch and all this kind of stuff. Not the case, but I'm not going to cut Joe down. I love Joe. I wish Joe all the best. I don't know if you've heard his brand new single. It kicks ass. He's got a brand new.
I have. I've heard a couple of his earlier works. And I just noticed that on his last record, he's only playing guitar. He's hired a singer.
Yeah, and that's Bob Mitchell, who I'm very good friends online with also. And Bob is a fantastic singer. It doesn't fit with Joe Hasselbander's sound. This is just my take on it. And Bob's an incredible singer.
Yeah.
Bob is more of the operatic, totally trained voice. He's refinery and a refinery also, and Joe's rough and tumble voice I dig. I always love Joe's voice.
Me too.
Yeah, it's got a cool sandy sound and grit to it that's real soulful, and so that's why I didn't get into that album. Was basically because of the vocal. The music was somewhat the same as his carrying along, the tradition of his albums and Hounds of Hasselbander. But very, very different. But he has a brand new single. It's 9 minutes. It's a single.
Okay.
And I've forgotten the name of it, but I heard it online. It kicked freaking ass. Joe sings again. He sings more like Gene Simmons, grumpy down.
Okay.
But it's still fantastic, and it's a really good song. It sounds like the earlier stuff that he did. I like
awesome.
it. Yeah. I wish him the best. I love you, Joe, if you're out there.
What about the other members of the original lineup, like Victor and Marty?
Of the Death Row era on lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original guys are all gone except myself and Jeff O'Keefe, but they've all passed away. Yeah. But
Marty Swanee?
No. That's the second or the fourth era Pentagram, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the early 70s Pentagram, and then there's the the mid 70s, which is Star Lady, Teaser, and all those things with Marty Iverson on second guitar. And then there's the third one, which is the High Voltage era, which I really dug. That's two guitars also, Richard Keaton, Paul Trowbridge, and Joe and Marty. And that's where I got together with Joe and Marty, was before the Death Row era, which came after High Voltage in around 80.
Okay.
We've already been together almost 10 years, because I started the band in 71 with Jeff. Long time. Oh, God, how old am I? And I'm still here.
Still kicking ass, though.
Help me.
By the way, Bobby, is there any gig that you remember that you went as a kid and it completely, totally blew your mind, that you will never forget? Like the first time you said, wow, what will that be?
There are so many of them. I can't, man.
Maybe the first one you remember, the first one that blew your mind.
What's that?
What? Maybe the first one that you remember that blew your mind. Could you remember that?
Yeah, I can. It was the first concert that I ever went to, ever, and that was the Dave Clark 5 at the Washington Coliseum. They came right after the Beatles, and that show, and then the Stones in '66 at the Washington Coliseum with Brian, and all of those shows are really memorable. I still got some little. The people in the picture are itty bitty, but I took pictures with my Kodak box camera, and I still have some of the pictures from those, and it's really cool, man. The Dave Clark 5 played with the Ronettes, which was Ronnie Spector, Phil's wife, and the Chartbusters. They were a DC band. They had a few hit singles locally, I think. I don't know if they made it to national charts, but the Stones concert was the Trade Winds, which is New York's a lonely town when you're the only surfer boy around. But the other bands on that bill were the Standells, who I love, the McCoys, which is Rick Derringer's first band. Hang On Sloopy was a big hit then. And the Stones, and all those bands were on the bill together. And that was really cool. Oh, and the Syndicate of Sound. Hey, little girl, I don't want you around no more. Those were the one hit, the garage bands, man. That's what I grew up with. And I still endear the hell out of all those bands. My favorite and most influential to me writer that ever walked the planet is Sean Bonnewell of the Bonnewell Music Machine. The Music Machine did Talk, and The People in Me were their two big hits in '66 and '67. He passed away like in the late '90s finally, but he was the most troubled, bummed out, again, downer sounding dude I've ever heard in my life. Had a fantastic voice, and the Music Machine are killer. They had 4 albums, actually. They're only listed usually as having 2, because there's some songs retakes on some of the albums. But the Music Machine, where he was my influence as a writer, because everything he did was desperately, horribly hopeless. And I like that. It really turned me on. I was like, yeah, I've got to complain. And I want my complaints to be heard. And that's what Sean Bonnewell was about. I have a book that's like 6,000 pages about him that he wrote. And it's about
6,000?
Yeah. And it's just like this big, and it's a paperback.
Damn.
Yeah. It's the whole thing from when he was a little boy, from when he was born till right up before he died. And it goes through every little detail. It's hard as hell to try to read. I mean, let's face it, that's a bit long and might get a little boring. But he was just a troubled soul. He speaks about the fact that he had acute bipolar and manic depression, through his growing years. And that's what kind of came to be his writing sound. He was a troubled soul. And I like that, because when people are willing to express something like that, it means an awful lot, because they're spilling their guts big time. People try to cover up all that shit. It's like, oh no, Not me. Yeah. And now we've come to find everybody has an acronym to label them with, right? I've got ADHD, I've got PTSD, I've got... Give me a break, man. You know, we all
Listen,
got milk us, as the kids say, like myself.
well, you've got a whole lot of material. Is there? Have you ever considered releasing an autobiography?
I am currently about to contact someone. I'm not going to name him yet because I want to make sure he's in on this thing. I've always wanted to write an autobiography really badly, and I'm not able to do it on my own, I feel. So, because a lot of it's vignettes, and I can't remember the time frames, the up and backs of all the things, but with the help of a writer who's a very prominent writer, I'll just say he's been with Decibel magazine for 10 or more years. And he has offered to possibly help me write my autobiography, which I really would like to get out because there's so many stories to tell and so much road to cover. My God, it'd be really cool, really fun. And I mean, everybody else has done one, so why can't I? Come on, man.
You think you can beat 6,000 pages?
I don't know about that. Maybe 800. Yeah.
Is there a piece of advice you'd give your younger self back in the early Pentagram days, or would young Bobby just say, "Screw you, old man"? I don't know.
You mean a piece of advice that young Bobby would have given me now?
No. A piece of advice you would give to young Bobby if you had a time machine, traveled back there, found your young self, and say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice."
Yeah, it would have maybe been, don't be quite so stubborn, but I did right in holding my ground all those years, and I'm coming to find that's come to fruition now. It's like, always pursue your dream. I say this all the time. Don't ever give it up, man. I don't give a damn what you have to do. Keep on pushing. I call myself the little engine that could, because I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And don't stop. You know, a very dear friend of mine, Sarah Abrams, she, has always said to me, keep your eye on the prize, Bob. And that's what I would say, is no matter what. And I did. That's the thing. Maybe that's not advice as such then, because I did what I said, I should do instead of the opposite. But as far as not doing, that I would have told myself to do differently, maybe. Don't get quite so screwed up on the dope, because it cost me a lot of time. But this is, I have an addictive personality. I tell people even nowadays, occasionally I fall. I'm a human being, for Christ's sake. What do you want? Oh, aren't you sober these days? Yeah. I mean, come on, man. If you drink Coca-Cola every day, you're an addict. Right? Right. Wipe your ass with toilet paper instead of leaves, you're an addict. You're addicted to toilet paper. This is the way my philosophy of life goes. Anything that you do on an ongoing, continual process is an addiction.
Sugar.
Right.
Salt.
It's whether you can stop its negative aspects from affecting you or not, if it has. So I'm very philosophical about those things, extremely analytical, overly analytical these days when I think of things like that. It's, you have to think things out. And I should have maybe been less impulsive on just, it's going to be my way. And I had to go to anger management classes about 15 years ago, right? Like many people do nowadays, much more abundant. But it taught me a lot. It's like, you're cool, man. Because, blowing your stack is a lose-lose, generally speaking. Okay? And keep your conviction, man, but chill out. Grateful Dead. Grateful Dead, man.
Do you have a positive drug story to share?
A positive drug story. Yeah, yeah. I was tripping once on LSD, and this is pure LSD back in '66, I think it was, which is the year they made LSD illegal. As a matter of fact, and they made it illegal. Most people don't know this on 6/6/66. Okay, of all things, how about that one? Yeah. And I was tripping my ass off in his bedroom with only a dresser and a bed in the room. And I was just laying there and hallucinating vividly because back then the drugs were pure, it was pure LSD 25. I mean, we sometimes would put a drop or two in each eyeball, liquid. And that would, you get off and you're peaking in 5 minutes. But I was hallucinating vividly, and all of a sudden I heard, and over, over this big hill, which I was looking at as plainly as I can see you, was a band of Hell's Angels. A band of Hell's Angels were coming over the hill, okay, on motorcycles. And I'm just laying in an empty bedroom now, but they were there as much as I could touch my arm right now. They were there, and what they did was they pulled up and let their motors idle, and on the front bike was Jimi Hendrix, and he got off the bike and he came up to me and he just waved, and he had the bolo hat on, right? And he tipped it. I remember all this very well. I didn't tell you the whole story when we were off the air, but he tipped his bolo hat and he said, "Hey, what's happening, man?" Right? And then he got back on the bike and they all left. But he was there. And another one, the best one, really, a better one than that was, we used to go to Ocean City, Maryland, to Assateague Island, near Chincoteague Island, where they have the ponies run across every year. And we were all tripping our ass off and laying on the beach at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. All of a sudden, we looked in the distance, and back then you would have things where you would have the same exact hallucination as the person with you. You could talk yourselves into seeing the exact same thing vividly, too. All of a sudden, a huge Chinese junk pulls up on the bay, right? And it docks, with a big anchor. And it's an old time, like an ancient Chinese junk would look huge. And all these little guys in coolies started running up and down the steps and everything. And we were pointing them out and going, look, the guy, what are you doing there? And, you used to hallucinate mutually. And it was fun, man. So those were fun drug stories. Hey, I'm still here. I'm not fried. I'm lucid. I can still articulate.
Man, I have to say, I read somewhere that I have to admit that I was a bit, scared of interviewing you, because I read somewhere that Wino said that when you're interviewing Bobby, you're in Bobby's world. That's it. And man, you're very lucid, man. It's great talking to you.
Bobby's world, I'm still living there. I never grew up.
Hey, you know what? This is really a drag, man. My phone just told me it's gonna boom anytime.
We're already past time. I only have one last question, which is by a friend of mine, Bobby's, and he said, Boris Karloff, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Vincent Cushing. Who do you think is closer to the Pentagram vibe?
Oh, Boris Karloff, because he was creepy, real creepy. And I'll assure you tonight's episode, yes, for that.
That's a great way to close the interview, I think.
Aha.
Yeah.
All right, I'm also gonna read the last comment from my friend Heavy Metalos. It's the Greek way of saying heavy metal guy, and he says, Bobby, just a big thank you with big letters for all the amazing music you have given us throughout the years. It's so impressive that there hasn't been a single bad moment musically in your career over these decades.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, brother. I
Right, so I
appreciate
think
that from the bottom of my heart. Seriously. Without all the fans out there and the listeners, I'm not here. Remember that. So I love all of you.
Thank you,
Real.
man, and thank you for joining
Love
us
you
in the
back.
interview as well. So, Nick, Bobby, I think it's safe to close the interview then.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Sounds
right.
okay with me.
Thank you for
Before I
taking
close
the
my
time.
phone or it goes off by itself.
And that, my friends, concludes our ritual for tonight. The spirits have spoken, the riffs have echoed through the crypt, and Bobby Liebling has officially outweirded the internet again. So, huge thanks to the Doom Wizard himself for dropping truth bombs, and reminding us that you can't kill what was never truly alive unless it's been touring since 1971. And yeah, saying this, sorry, one of the things I forgot to ask you, but it's a short question, is what are your touring plans for this year? Very quickly.
Okay, for this year, we head out. Our first gig is on May 11th. We do an East Coast tour of the U.S. and out Midwest a bit and Southeast Coast in the U.S. And that's a couple of weeks worth. And first time I'll ever have played 15 gigs in a row without a day off for a singer. That's a little much, but we'll see. And then after that, we a few days later, when that ends, we head to Europe and we start doing a European tour right behind it. That includes this year includes Hellfest again, and in France, and we also have a UK tour right behind that one, and that'll be the UK and Ireland and Scotland, the whole UK as such. And then we come back and do a few more European gig dates, bridged by one with Acid Bath in New York City. And that's between going up and back to Europe. Then after that, finally for the first time in August, we do Australia and New Zealand. And I'm really happy about that because we've never done that. We got 9 gigs in Australia and New Zealand. So that's our touring schedule for this year. After that, we plan to go.
Watch out for the snakes and spiders.
Huh?
Watch out for
the snakes and spiders.
Okay, I will do that. I don't have to worry about getting kicked by a kangaroo to do it.
And of course, big shout out to my partner in crime, Nikolas Fragiadakis. Without him, this show would just be me talking to a lava lamp and a stack of dusty vinyl. So, yeah, guys, so if you like what you saw, I gotta start saying this in my shows. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring that little demonic bell icon, or just scream into the void until YouTube hears you. Now, until next time, stay heavy, stay weird, and remember, if Bobby Liebling can survive the 70s, memes, and possibly the underworld itself, then you can survive your work week. Good night, Metal Maniacs. This has been the Elders of Metal YouTube show podcast. Now, go crank some doom, not doom as Bobby says, but heavy rock, right? So,
Yeah.
frighten your neighbors. Thank you all very much for watching us tonight. All the best, and see you next time. Bobby, Nikos, stay online, and everybody else, thank you for joining us. Good night, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks. Altars of Metal.